Welcome to the third Site Notes program demonstration video from XlsDesign. In this video we're going to look at creating a specification sheet. If you recall from the previous video, we generated a specification sheet but didn't actually look at it. So first thing is, if you go to the XlsDesign website and have any questions regarding any of these videos or would like to know more, use the contact form. So just go to the website, click the contact form, and it will open up one of these. You can fill that out and XlsDesign will get back to you to answer any of your queries. So moving on to what we looked at last time, I mentioned in the previous video that we had a value in the HD column which relates to this new worksheet that had appeared down here, number 10. This was a spec sheet. We didn't look at that because we were just generating a short report, and what we're going to do is generate a specification sheet. So in the racking industry, each item of storage equipment within an installation will have a specification. These spec sheets can be easily adapted for the end user's own requirements. So again, if it's something that is not within the storage equipment industry, these sheets can be easily adapted for whatever purposes you might need when generating your own reports. First thing we need to do is to enter some data to generate the new report. So I've added a few rows to the bottom of this sheet here. So we need to give this a number. This has to be a whole integer, and I like to do these in blocks of 10 just in case I end up going back to site on a further visit and I need to insert some storage equipment in a different place in the report, i.e. sandwiched in between these two. So I'm going to call this 20. I've typed that in. What you can do is, if you double click, again we have these dynamic lists that appear, so you can select whatever number you want, or you can just go up to the formula bar, select blank entry, go into the formula bar and enter it that way. So for the time being we'll just enter 20 there. Then we need to enter some information in location 1, 2 and 3. So for racking purposes, location 1 is the location of the storage equipment within the facility that's being inspected. Location 2 is the manufacturer of the storage equipment, and location 3 is a description of the storage equipment. So we will select warehouse in location 1, and in location 2 I'll just use the scroll bar down the side and we're going to select link 51, and then again a double tap in location 3. I can scroll down again and this will give me a description. Note that I've added more into this one, into these lists. So we're just going to call this adjustable pallet racking. I've pre-filled out rack, and then all I do, go into the formula bar up here, and we're going to call this rack G. This has gone in brackets because when the report is generated, that tells the program, if it's in brackets, to shunt this down to the next line, and it just looks better for presentation purposes, that's all. So having typed this in, we now need to enter that data. So in respect of using this on site, you would just click in an adjacent cell. From here you can press return, but it does shunt the active cell down to the next row, so you need to be in the same row to be able to select these options. Okay, so from our racking office menu, we've also got the facility to create a spec sheet from the racking site menu. We'll just use the drop down, and again I've selected one cell in the row that contains my header, and I'm just going to select pallet racking. So that's now generated a form. It's given us our new worksheet down here, and then I've also added in some useful drop down lists. Again, all of these lists are completely editable. I've just done this as an example to show you. So we're going to say 1000 mil deep frames, and then we'll just enter some data, and we'll say that's 3000 mil high, and then I just double tap or tap into the next one, get my drop down for my uprights, and we'll say that we've got some M uprights. Bracing will have S. Base plates I'll go for B2. Floor fixings 1 bolt per base plate. I'm going to leave frame spaces blank. This will demonstrate when we come to print the report that if you don't fill anything in adjacent to something in the component, it won't print that out. Okay. Also, within this component, you can add anything you want to these, or you can change any of these that you want, and the report will reflect that as well. So beams, I'm just going to insert some beams here. So we'll just say that we've got 90 by 50 box with a 2700 clear entry, beam connector locks, so LP, I think that probably ought to be 85 XC. Beam levels will have 2 beam levels, height to first, I'll just say it's 1000, level pitch, we'll just have 1000 on there. Let's make it a little bit more than that, make it 1450. I won't worry about shelving or anything, as I say, this is just a demonstration, but all of these have got sort of some relevant drop downs, and again all of these are editable as well. There'll be further videos on that to explain how to do that. And for my load notice, I'm just going to say not displayed, but again just to show that I've filled these lists out in all of these cells down here. So we'll add some beam stickers in, and we'll say the beam stickers state 2000 kilos safe working load. You'll note that this has got a colon after it. Anything with a colon, the program will print in bold on the report, even though it's not bold on here. But in order to show you that what you're going to get printed out, in order to do that, we've actually got an auto bold routine as well. So you'll notice in the notes that in my header rows I like to have everything bold so that I can easily see that it's a header, because this can get lost in the text. So if I click my auto bold function, and it just gives me a couple of messages there, and then it will return me to the main table. If I scroll down, it's now bolded that because it's in a header row. And if I go to my spec sheet, which I can either click down here on the worksheet, or I've got a cell selected, I can use my view edit spec sheet function, and you can see that it's put this in bold. So anything with a colon and anything to the left of the colon, it would bold. So if I had some other text in this row, it wouldn't bold the other text, it would only bold everything from the colon to the left. So it's a good way of breaking things up in order to give a little bit of differentiation between things. So that's basically how we create a spec sheet. What I'll do is I'll quickly print out a report. I'm going to do this on a full report because a full report will print out the spec sheets. Again, we got some report introductions, so again these are obviously completely adaptable and can be used however you would wish them to be used. So I need to select one of these, so I'm just going to select adjustable pallet racking, and we'll click create reports, and this will take just a couple of seconds longer than the previous one because it's now processing header information for 2 spec sheets rather than 1. And as you can see, it's now printed our report, and we can see that we got our first section there, and then our second section with the spec sheet that we created. So as you can see, it's given our header with the brackets, so it's moved that information because it's in a bracket to the next line down, and you can see we didn't have the frame spacers. If you recall, I mentioned that I wouldn't put those in. It's only got information in that I've asked it to put in, and then it's just started off a header there, which is where our damage would go once we start recording the damage. So that's basically how to create a spec sheet and what they look like on the report. Hope you found that useful. We will start looking at other things in future videos. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next demonstration.